Coming start. Hey guys, I was just thinking a little bit ago, after delivering some mail and doing some things, taking a little walk, I thought, maybe it's a good idea to do it as realistically as possible. I always try to do that with the videos, but to discuss something, somebody coming from a congenital heart disease background and in dealing with suffering with heart disease and the things that go along with that, things that I've overcome. We'll discuss that in other videos, and I try not to get too deep, but I want to focus mainly on heart failure and stuff like that, and how for me, the things that I do. So I just get a short little day in the life, I guess, of what I do for myself that I'm very confident in. I feel blessed to have the knowledge of, and it's what I count on. I've been through this. I've been through these things before, and have overcome those symptoms as hard as they are. And again, there are things that need to be done, and I'll see if I can discuss that a little bit in the next 5 minutes about what I do. So right here, as far as outside of meditation, which is critical, and getting proper rest, which I do get. I sleep like a baby. I get very good rest. I usually make sure I'm in bed by 11 o'clock, and I get up approximately 6 o'clock, sometimes sooner if I can, to do a little meditation early in the morning to get to that theta state, which is very important. I do that especially when I'm on my fasts, when I'm after the sacred secretion and those topics there. But again, that's a little bit of a different subject. So I just kind of point to what I do for myself, actually, again, for mainly attacking different things like again, the cardiomyopathy, but arrhythmia and all the things that go along with that, the heart failure and things like that. Obviously, eating proper diet and keeping your weight down is critical. That's one of the reasons why I fast, and not only the spiritual aspect of it, but of course the physical aspect of it. I'm about 165 pounds, fluctuate a little bit, and that's where I intend to keep it. As a matter of fact, for my best health is about 162 pounds, so that's where I will shoot for and stay. My last fast, I was near that. Of course, you gain a little bit of weight back as you fill your digestive tract up. But anyway, so that's kind of a way to reboot fasting, of course, to reboot the body, mind, and the spirit. Right now, what I got in front of me here, actually, I'm just getting some stuff. I usually make my wife some lunch. I don't eat breakfast. I only eat intermittent fast, generally speaking, and if I'm not water fasting or some type of other fast. But generally speaking, I intermittent. In other words, I just don't eat breakfast. I usually have that window between, let's say, 1 o'clock and 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. and try to stick to that as best I can. It works best for me for blood flow, so not so much blood is going into the digestive system, which takes a ton of blood, as you all know, and lots of energy. So anyway, this is my wife's. I talk about trying to stay. I eat very little bread. We don't eat really any white bread whatsoever. But this is sourdough bread that my wife and daughter and my older daughter and son love. But I'm going to make her some grilled cheese with a very lightly cooked over easy egg and some fresh onions. That's something I typically make there, and then homemade soup. Right on the stove right now, I have some my homemade chicken broth soup with a little bit of brown rice. And what else we got? I think a little bit of quinoa. Right here, what I have here, which is I consider a very strong, a very powerful for heart muscle, for heart strength. And again, I'm saying this with lots of experience. You do what you must and listen to your doctor, but bring these things across them and maybe a couple ideas that you might add to your protocols and your regimens, and add to your hope. Years ago, I never would have thought I was the fighter type. In high school and stuff, I'm not talking about scrapping. That I can do pretty well in. But I'm just talking about fighting, fighting through life. Who'd have known, when I was younger and all the things that we all go through. At this point in my life, again, I'm proud to say that I'm almost 56 and doing pretty well under the circumstances. Again, I'm the last one in my family out of about 9 dead in my generation here that has got their own heart. There are 2 alive yet that have had transplants. The rest have passed away, as you've known in my other videos. My sister very young, cousins very young, aunts very young, on and on. But I'm the only one with her own heart, and I intend to keep it. So one of the ways, some of the ways I do that, other than a soup like that, and a typical, I'll eat a part of this sandwich too for my wife for lunch, but this is what I would have. One of the things I would often have with as my first meal, we'll say. I do eat meat, but I eat very carefully. Organic meat as best I can, and I don't eat anywhere near as much as I used to. It's just unnecessary, and you'll find the longest lived people, the centenarians, the ones that you'll find most often do eat meat, but they eat very small portions of it, and near raw and organic, grass-fed, stuff like that. This is raw milk. We don't eat any or drink any other type of raw milk or any other type of milk. So what I have here is a very potent, potassium-potent muscle, as you guys all know, as far as heart muscle is concerned. Potassium is critical, magnesium is critical. There are a lot of things that are crucially important, including the CoQ10 and other things that I'll show here. But what I have here is I have buckwheat, which is very high in potassium. I have added to that, I have cinnamon, which is great for blood sugar. I have added to that fresh strawberries, fresh blueberries, fresh banana, very potent with all the antioxidants, and of course added potassium with the banana. I have some cranberries, a little bit for tart taste because I like tart. And again, with the cinnamon is with stevia as well. I'll put honey in there as well, which is great. And oftentimes when I mix the milk together, I've also got a raw egg yolk in there. So I mix the milk, the raw egg yolk, the nutrients, including chromium pick for blood sugar and whatever else. I might add some iodine to that, mix it up in the milk, put these harder items in, the solid items in, mix that milk up, put it on top, and I'm ready to roll. So to me, it tastes fantastic. And if you didn't know, buckwheat is one of the more oft used grains. Well, it's a seed actually, but it's very, very common in Eastern Europe and Russia and in those areas. So that's that for my first meal anyway, or the day. Otherwise, sometimes I'll just, as far as a meal, I'll just take the raw milk. I'll put a raw egg right in there, and maybe a drop or two of stevia, not necessary, but a drop or two of stevia, and I'll drink that up. And you talk about phenomenal proteins with all the amino acids you could possibly want. It's great for muscle. It's great for every cell membrane in your body. It's great for your brain. It's great for every part of your body you can imagine. When you start getting into milk, I won't get into that subject too much. You look at West Indian price, but when you start getting into milk, that's skim milk and all these other things that are ripped apart, where they take the molecular, or the fat, and destroy it into tiny molecular pieces. You're talking about stuff that just is denatured and virtually no good for you. But that's another subject I'll say for another time. As far as what I do for supplementation, I go on and off with supplementations. I'll take a break from different things, just because sometimes it gets a little bit irritating, especially with the stomach, and some things you need to take on an empty stomach, and some not so much. These are just a small portion of what I take on and off. I do take activated charcoal, which I think is great. As far as for the heart in general, I'll take CoQ10 for the rest of my life. As far as things for heart failure, obviously CoQ10 and pine bark extract have got quite a history now as far as being effective. This is peer-reviewed science as far as being effective in bringing the heart function up considerably, up to 20-25 points within months of just taking CoQ10 and pine bark extract itself. Pycnogenol is the term for that, and it's great. Quality matters, I would say, but there are different, and you want to get 95, I believe it's around 95 proanthocyanins, I pronounce that wrong, but anyway, you got to get that standardized as best you can to 95% and more. But that's that. Selenium is always critical for the heart, among so many other things. And melatonin for my sleep. Actually, I don't use a lot of melatonin. I'll use valerian root periodically, because melatonin, I'd rather my pineal gland was perfectly healthy, which it is, and that'll keep your rhythms going just about right and sleeping well. Vitamin E, magnesium glycinate, proper magnesium, of course, is critical. All of it's best whole. I'll always say that without question. Some things just need to be supplemented at times, and that's what I do. Niacin is something is a great subject that hopefully we can talk about more. But people, you guys that are suffering with arrhythmias, I've done videos before on this, and I promise you that if you look into whether it's AFib or you look into all different kinds of whys and wherefores, there's always an answer. You know, it's again, it's usually some type of a toxin, or it's a malnutrition, some type of whether it's a mineral, whatever the mineral may be. You know as well as I do, like angina now, doctors, even cardiologists, I know this for a fact because I've asked them. Doctors are very clueless when it comes to angina, but there's quite a few causes for angina, variant angina. So magnesium deficiency is a big one, but a huge one that rarely ever gets addressed, that I had to address myself after suffering 1,000 angina attacks. Now I don't get them, period, is to keep your histamine in control. Now you guys out there, everything from inability to handle yourself and with sex or premature ejaculation, all these other things, that is part and parcel to histamine problems, as is oftentimes arrhythmia. Niacin can do wonders. If I have certain chocolates, that's the only thing I let myself really have as far as sweets, is good quality dark chocolate. If I let myself go without having that, I might get some arrhythmia. But if I take niacin, because it covers the mast cells, the caffeine in that just does not, the coffee or the chocolate just does not cause me any issues, because the niacin has already performed its duty and covered the mast cells, the histamine mast cells that would cause those arrhythmia that I have. So I'm pretty sensitive to that. Vitamin C is always something that, that's always critical. And yes, there are many others, glutathione and other things that are critical for the heart. That's why your raw egg is so critical. That's one of the only ways you can get natural glutathione. But I guess really my hope here is to give hope and to understand that there's probably a lot of things that you've never thought of that you can probably do when it comes to heart failure and when it comes to just cardiomyopathy in general. And I got to tell you, I've got a good 45 years of experience, and some of it heartbreaking. I've had a lot of tears. And a good cry once in a while is okay, but I gotta tell you, 9 out of 10 of those tears are tears of gratitude and joy. I live a very blessed life. I have my days, but you can find new, very simple, virtually costless avenues that can taste great, they can feel great, they can offer people into your life that you might want to shy away from. I've been there, where you can get yourself out there and be pleased with yourself. But you got to start with loving yourself. I've learned to be so grateful for my heart, because if it weren't for my heart, I probably wouldn't have been able to reach tens of thousands of people on Facebook, and probably 3,000-4,000 people worldwide, direct contact, trying to help them from everything from cancer to heart disease. Use that heart, use those difficulties that you have, and be blessed. Fight the good fight. Find the new avenues. Talk to your cardiologist. Give them new ideas. I have. And they were actually, most of them were pretty thankful. And they were a little dumbfounded, but it's all in peer-reviewed science. All you gotta do is look at PubMed, but they're not trained. They're trained for surgery and drugs, and unfortunately that's the world we live in. But hopefully I can offer you some hope. I love you all, because this means a lot to me, and hopefully it means something to you. So keep fighting the good fight. Dig out as much knowledge as you can. You keep yourself open to knowledge and to wisdoms, ancient wisdoms that you think shouldn't be said, outside of orthodox medicine, and be well, because you're going to find that you've got a very blessed life, whether you're here for a day or you're here for another 50 years. Make every moment count. Okay, love you. Salamat.